Well, hello, everybody. This is us again, John and Nancy. We were discussing off the last segment, and we were talking about something we thought, well, we ought to be putting a little video up. And we're going to be discussing when we give a reading, whether it's online, email reading, or when we would talk to you verbally. It just happened to me just the other day that I had a client call me, and I had been given a reading for months, and she locked into a statement I made, and that this man would come back in her life. Well, she called me the other day, and she wanted a reading because he had come back. And her statement to me was, now that he's back, when is he going to leave his wife and become mine? And I told her she needed to go back and listen to the session because I never promised a rose garden. I said he'd be back. So John and I decided we're going to put his thoughts and my thoughts on this video because human beings traditionally program an outcome that they desire, even if you say something to you, like we're given a reading, and it's not always what we say, it's what you think you should program it for your future. Am I wording that quite right?
Yeah,
John?
I think so. I think it's to give examples. I mean, sometimes I'll have said that I don't know. How can I put this? Oh, I might say, right. Well, I've got a job here, or there's a career movement for you, and then someone may say, well, I was made redundant, or no, that's not very a good example, is it really? Because that's
Well,
like
let's stay with that job. This
yeah,
gal yesterday, another lady called me and she said, I hate my job. When am I going to change?
yeah,
And I said, well, it feels like it's two, so I would say a year and 2 months, up to 2 years. And she got kind of mad at me. And she said,
yeah.
well, that's too long ago, too way in the future. I said, whatever efforts you're making it, you got to double it up. So a couple weeks, anyway, she deemed it that I wasn't reading it very clearly because she wanted it sooner.
That's right.
So that's one example.
Yeah, that's right.
The
That's
other
right.
one was the lady who wants that married man to leave his wife for her. And they had a fight, and she said, go away, and when you come back, I'll know you're serious. Well, he came back, but he still wants to play in the flower garden. He doesn't want to
Yeah,
commit.
that's
And
right.
she wouldn't hear that from me. She says,
That's
he's
right.
back, and you said he'd be back. And I says, I know, but I didn't promise anything because I still see another year before he'll make a decision to actually leave his wife. I think that's the hardest thing for anybody, you and me, everybody, is that in our mind we want an outcome, and we want it either sooner that I get or an outcome that I say, but I can't promise. Sometimes I'll talk to people and I do get marriage rings and I do get an outcome immediately. That's because there's no obstacles stopping me from
That's
seeing
right.
the outcome.
That's right. That's right.
If
That's
there's
right.
bridges across or strife involved, sometimes we can't see it until it gets closer. Go ahead.
That,
You
that,
have
no,
examples?
that's right. And I think sometimes I think as well. I think as human nature and as humans, we do want things to happen a lot sooner than what they're meant to happen. And I think sometimes, I do believe there's a time and a place for everything. And I think that sometimes, I think as human beings, we try and create not the impossible, but we try and create the outcome that we want.
Yeah,
Sometimes when we do
that we think we program for our
that's
life.
right. That's right. And sometimes when we do get what we want, we realise it's not really what we want after all.
No.
And that can be. I mean, I've sort of done reading for people, and they've said, is this person going to come back in my life? And they do. But then when they come back in the life, then they come and say, oh my God, my relationship's terrible now because she said to come back in, but then
You
he's come back in my life, but now he's being not nice to me, and and that sort of thing. But sometimes you can only you just see the person coming back. You don't.
correct.
It's not that you're not seeing the because some people I think that some people can be very hidden, Nancy, and I think because we all work on an energy vibration, I think some people can hide their energy, and I think sometimes if people can hide their energy or pull their energy in,
Suck it in.
they can prevent you from getting a clear image of what that energy is and of what
I
intentions are.
I agree. And it's almost like, yes, I saw this man coming back to her, but she was too afraid of not having the outcome that she wanted. So when I said, I see him coming back, I know there's going to be conversation, but I'm being blocked from seeing if he's going to leave his wife for you in this time frame. In her mind, all she wanted to hear was he was coming back,
That's right.
because that fear of him not wanting her, she was blocking that possibility.
That's
He was
right.
coming back ready to move into her life.
That's
He
right.
came back. Now she hasn't heard from him for 10 days. And now in her mind, she feels like I did not a bad reading, but I wasn't clear with her. I says, that's why I send you an MP3 of the session,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
can go back and hear what I said. And that, what I said, was not what she wanted to hear, so she blocked it.
That's right. That's right. And I think as well, I think another sort of side sort of thing to that as well is the fact that sometimes you you like you say, sometimes people aren't always ready to hear the truth. People aren't always ready to hear, you know, people sometimes as human beings we want to cling on to that, that thing, or that that everlasting word, whether it be a word, a sentence, because we want it so much. But in reality, is that right for us? Is that right for us to, is it right for us to cling on to that? Is it right for us to cling on to that? To for instance, this lady that you were talking to, and he came back into her life, but she's clung on to that now, and but now she's got it. It's not what she thought it was going to be.
Well, he left again.
That's it. You see,
Interesting you
so
say that. So we all need hope, and we all need to know that we have future on this planet being alive.
that's right.
We all have hope that we can be happy, but we program it needs to be that person or
That's
another.
right.
And
That's right. That's
we
right.
program it, the outcome what we think we should have, and usually the visual of what comes about isn't always what we see. Um,
That's right. And I think
I guess the other thing too is I was speaking to her about, are you clear of who you want? Have you changed any? So when he comes back, you can stand on your feet and become the person that you need to be to have him want you. And a lot of people don't get that we have to evolve. We can't stay a pillar of stone, that life changes us. And they hold their breath and wait as though time doesn't move on. And that's what we were speaking to
yeah,
earlier, how we don't live here, we live in the future.
that's
Or we
right.
live in the past, we're living an issue. And so while you're waiting for the person to come back, you need to make your life better, whole, and
That's right.
interesting.
That's right. That's right.
Because when they come back, they want you. But if you're no different, maybe what you were wasn't enough. So you make yourself more and whole. You may become so interesting to yourself that you may not want him because he's the same person that you had before.
That's right. That's right. And I think sometimes people don't understand. I think it's lack of understanding, and I think it's lack of realization that I think sometimes people don't, because people do get so wrapped up in, and I guess it's human nature, because I think human nature, because sometimes we focus and we get that focused on where we think we should be, that we don't allow ourselves to feel anything else,
Right.
or to see anything else, you know, than what we are visualizing ourselves to be. So before we know it, there's 12 months gone where we've been wanting to be with that person, and that's a whole 12 months of complete wasted time, energy, when we could have been doing something within our life to enhance.
Enhance it and make it more interesting. As you're
That's right.
saying that, I think it's so unfortunate that we all get stuck in that spot. Every one of us has had a relationship or situation
That's right.
that we're holding our breath. It's almost like, um, I'm trying to think of something really quick here. Say you think you're going to get a promotion at work and it's going to be handed to you on a silver platter. And you walk around thinking, boy, any minute now they're going to give me something. But in their mind, they're waiting for you to do something, but you're not doing it. So in some ways, you will sabotage yourself and not even know it. And we were talking earlier, I'm older than you, and we were making a comment laughing about time. And I have learned the hard way, as everybody else, the only thing we don't have control over is our linear time. Now, a reading time is a circle to me in my head, but we don't get to live in a circle. We don't have it looping over. We can't back it up. I am the age I am, and I'm younger than I'm going to be tomorrow.
That's right.
So how you live your life and measure your accomplishments is on a linear. And so if you're waiting for somebody, which we all have, I'm guilty of it,
Yes.
waiting for
Yes.
somebody to make
Yeah.
that move towards you, I guess I learned from that the only thing I lost was the time I my thoughts were not my
That's
own.
right, that's right, that's right. And I think, like you say, Nancy, I've been there. I've been in exactly that situation, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are having that situation. But then I think, I think once you realise you've been in that situation, then you learn to identify, so you don't you don't go through the same situation again. Because I think you learn. Well, I
Yeah,
know I learned from that. You know what I mean? I know I
yeah.
learned, but I think sometimes if it's your first time in that place, and if you don't learn to, I don't know, I think sometimes I think you just have to let things go, I think. And I think sometimes you just have to let, let
I,
yourself be yourself, you know.
it's hard when your heart's
It,
tied
it,
up with
is, it
somebody.
is, it is.
When you're holding your breath, hoping that you can live through this. A lot of times when people break up, the statements say to me is, I don't know if I can go to sleep at night because my mind is full of this person, or I don't know if I can breathe every day because that person was part of my breathing process. It's sometimes just getting through the
God,
day
yeah, I mean, that,
and holding on to
yeah,
time.
yeah.
We'll have to do a talk on just how to heal after a relationship because not anybody on the planet hasn't had their heart ripped out of their chest
Uh,
and walk around with it bleeding in the center. Everyone on the planet, I don't know of anybody who hasn't had an emotional riptide of events. And you get to a place of thinking, my first husband and I did leave him. It was on the heels of after having cancer, and I didn't know if I was going to live, and I didn't know who I was, so I created the opportunity to live on my own. So I created it. But after I left him, we separated. I realized that I met him at 15, and I was 40 when I divorced him. That meant most of my adult life of thinking, creating opportunities, living was with him in my process. So on I divorced, it was the big shock in my life to have to think on my own,
of
to be
course.
totally 100% responsible for my thought process and and my next move. And that's where I think people become crippled in a relationship. They get to trust level of being with that person. So when that disruption happens and the rip tide occurs, we're so stuck in our time
That's right,
that
that's
we
right.
don't realize
Yeah,
that
yeah,
time will tick on
yeah,
whether we recovered or not.
that's right.
So you're losing time by not gathering your forces
Yeah,
and being okay that this has happened, but you still have to live. And there's this fine line of not getting it. And I'll talk to people years later, months and years later after breakup, and they've not progressed in life. They've not
that's
done
right,
anything,
that's right,
nothing. They
that's
just stay
right,
in their house and they cried every day.
that's right, that's right.
And
I
so
mean,
time is ticking. That's what we're trying to talk
yeah,
about is
yeah.
don't let time go by.
That's right. And I mean, I often say to people, try not to put people on a pedestal, because if when that person's not there anymore and they're gone for whatever reason, you know, you're left with nothing for yourself. So it's all about retaining yourself at times as well. I think if that makes sense, it's all about finding, and like you say, but it is the most difficult thing to do, especially when your heart's being ripped out and thrown away emotionally. Um,
Yeah.
you know, um, but I think, like you say, I think once you've been through that, I know I certainly have learned from it. I do understand that not everybody's going to learn from it, because some people stay in that state for years and years and years, and it's
Mhm.
terrible, really, because I've spoke to people, I dare say you have as well, Nancy, that have been waiting for this person to come back, and they've been waiting for like 7 or 8 years.
Amazing.
And you say, I mean, you've got to give them the thumbs up, the resilience for waiting.
Unfortunately, yes.
Uh,
Like, wow, you have stamina.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Wow. How about the rest of your life? You're holding on something there too, you know?
Yeah, that's right. But it's hard. I think it's a hard tablet to accept. I really do, and especially when it's coming from somebody that's spiritual. I also think it's hard for us as well, because I don't know about you, Nancy, but I don't really. I mean, I don't like giving people heart wrenching news. You know what I mean? I
No.
don't like. So I think as
This
someone,
person not coming back for a year to 2 years, and you
yeah,
go, what? Well, I'm not talking to you. You,
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't ever give me answers I want.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Then they come back in a year and said,
You
you
were
know, you
right.
told me, and I held my breath that long.
Yes, unfortunately. But yeah, so I think it's hard. I think it's hard on both parties, really. I think it's hard on ourselves, and I think it's hard on the clients.
I sometimes wonder when the free will comes in and what we say. or what can happen. Because if I say to somebody, I don't see this person come back for a year to 2 years, and they say, well, I don't know if I like that answer, so I'm going to go over to their house or call them and make it change. So I'm not sure what we tell somebody is meant to be, or a caution, or don't hold your breath. See where I'm going with that? It's
Absolutely, absolutely,
like
absolutely.
if there's free will, which I sometimes wonder, I can give whole lectures on free will versus destiny. Do you have free will in something, or is it already locked in place? I don't know. I always tell people, if you don't like my answer, then change it. And then they
That's
don't know
right.
if I've given them a good reading. Only my testimonials will tell people how often people even take time to write. But at the same time, I think that people feel like if they're not with somebody or a situation is not what they want and they hold their breath, is because they're afraid to step out of the loop of
Yes,
waiting
yes.
and take it on themselves. And
Well,
that's what I was trying to share with you in
yeah,
my
it is. Because I think
was
it's that
step.
fear, it's that fear as well, isn't it? It's that fear of, well, if I do step out the loop, am I going to be left completely on my own?
Hmm.
You know, at
Without the
least
promise of hope
that's right, that's right. And
that
at
person
least
comes
if I
back.
stay in that loop, like you've said, I can still have that hope. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But once I step out of that loop, has that gone forever? And have I got to really sort of, sort of,
I think you made a point there. Let's look at that real quick, because I know you're taking track of our time here. People tell me they want me to tell them someone's coming in, or who they are, what they look like, in a time frame that fits them, because they're afraid of never finding someone again.
that's right, that's
They'll
right,
hold on to the old and wait, because they can tell their friends, oh, we momentarily just are separated. We're not a couple yet again. Because I think some people, men and women, not just women here, because clearly I get more calls from women, men and women want that. If they're wanting it, they want the hope, because otherwise that means they've got to create their own steps in life, and that can be really scary if they feel like they never have someone again. And I've actually had to talk to some people, and I search in time, and I see nobody. And on some level, I think people create that nobody.
yeah,
If you
definitely,
really want a partner, you will find it. If you
that's
don't,
right.
you're holding your breath for somebody or afraid to create it, then you will have nothing.
That's right. That's right. I believe that as well. I believe that as well.
Mhm.
And I think, I think, I think as well, I think sometimes I think we have to take responsibility for that. I think. Because
But that's also the hard thing to do.
that's
That's what
right.
we're talking about. Not
That's
wait
it.
and use your
That's
time
right.
up, hold your breath.
That's
Take
right.
responsibility. It's easy to hold the breath and hope, wait, so you don't have to go out and find someone new,
That's right.
because that fear of looking is that fear of never finding.
That's
So
right.
they'll hold on to the old even if it's mistreating, because
That's
it's
right.
somebody is worth something than nobody.
That's right. And that's the circle that again
Yeah.
we're trying to
Keep
talk
moving.
to get people out of. But yeah. But anyway, so guys, I think that brings us to the end of our little chat again. Again, if you did
Your
want to find,
website.
yeah, go ahead, Nancy. Go ahead.
Oh, we always close it by letting you know where we are. I'm nancymatz.net, and I'm in Arizona. I forgot to say that before, of the United States. How fun is that? Phoenix is the largest town next to me. And if you go to nancymatz.net, there's a phone number that if you want to get in touch with me, I'm always reachable. And John, what is your web location and where
Yeah,
you are?
based in the UK in a lovely place called Blackpool, which is fun, fun, fun. It's on the northwest coast of the UK. But you can find out more at www.orbsuk.co.uk. All
And
right?
that O is co dot
That's right.
uk.
That's
In
right.
our country, over here, it's .com, com.
Yeah.
Just a little difference.
But
It's
you've got
fun, everybody. We had fun. This
we
was
did, definitely, definitely. And we'll see you again, guys. See you later. Bye for now.
See you later. Bye bye.